The story of my product revolves around a passionate and creative writer who's struggling to come up with ideas and is looking for inspiration in places that often go unnoticed. My product mainly represents social groups of writers or any sort of group that is associated with creating or being creative, such as filmmakers. A social issue that is much talked about in those social groups but not properly addressed is a creative block. Creative block is a period of time when the creative output of an individual or team falls to low levels. Unlike regular tasks such as cleaning a basement, creativity tends to have great peaks and valleys of productivity. In my teaser trailer, I have shown the character having what is addressed as a eureka or aha moment. I've always found it disturbing that media shows women in such an artificial manner with the desire to make them look appealing. Therefore, I've challenged this convention by not putting any sort of cosmetics on a main actor. Furthermore, in my society, it is still considered stereotype for women to be openly smoking, and the shot on the beat challenges that. I would also like to inform about how nature is represented to have a healing effect and how in her imagination there has been no particular emphasis on a certain social class which shows her open mindedness. During the process of character building, I purposely chose a female writer because I wanted to involve an element of feminism. Because I believe that women should be shown to be intellectual and be empowered to express their ideas. I decided the characteristics of the main character, which includes being adventurous, open minded, and observant, which is also supported by my primary research. I've taken inspiration from the character of Anne from Anne with an E and her ability to find the simplest of things beautiful and exaggerate them to signify the exquisiteness of the most mundane things. And Aisha from Wake Up Sid, whose character is unafraid of new experiences or exploring. Like her, my character too draws inspiration from parts of her city, for example, the sea. My product engages with the audience through halls encoding, decoding, model of communication, which essentially states that senders encode meaning in their product according to their ideologies, and the messages may be decoded by the receivers according to their own ideas and views. I would also like to add what Fist says that the audiences are not merely passive watchers of the television screen, but rather are active audiences engaging with the program in ways the producers never could imagine. Moving on, I'd like to talk about the demographics of my targeted audience, which are mainly young adults, as seen by my primary research. It also targets specific social groups, which are middle class, upper class, and skilled people. The psychometrics includes people of liberal views and explorers and reformers. I've chosen them as my targeted audience because I think they are more likely to resonate and accurately decode the encoded message. Either have a negotiated opinion because they are not able to relate to the concept in the product but accept that it is representing a certain point of view. It is also possible that others have a conflicted opinion, which I believe will be because they aren't yet exposed to such problems or are just oblivious to it and therefore will also refuse to recognize the representation shown. The only hardware used in my production was my camera, and most of my scenes are shot outdoor, other than the first and the last. I only used natural lighting and learned about its significance in creating cinematic shots and a particular kind of ambience. Most of my shots were static, but the tracking and panning done in the first scene was done handheld and were done so to gradually reveal the main character. I had to practice a lot to make sure the footage won't turn out jittery. However, I could have estimated the number of seconds I should have shot better, for example, the tree or the sea. I'm pretty happy with the mise en scène as I dyed the papers in the first scene to look more vintage, and the costume was kept pretty subtle and casual to make the character look as close to what a writer or any other person looks like in real life. However, I would like to point out the hand in the corner of the frame in the tea pouring scene and how it shouldn't have been part of the frame. I have used a variety of camera shots, from wide shots to medium close-ups to and even an extreme close-up to emphasize on the emotion of eyes. I've used many different compositions which include center-weighted, rule of third, and symmetrical. Although I think I could have shot the scenes to look more cinematic and could have been more creative with the compositions I've used. Directing the main character was easier than I thought, I think mainly because I knew her. But being an introvert and directing strangers was a huge challenge. But I improved as I went along, but I still have got a long way to go. I've used both diegetic and non-diegetic sounds as one can hear the typewriter along with the narration and the music. When a cloud of uncertainty looms over and nothing seems to spark. However, doing the narration was the hardest thing, and I definitely could have brought more sentiments to the entire thing. But it took a while for me to learn how to adjust the correct exposure according to the requirement of the scene. I would also like to add that when I first shot the first scene, I set the ISO at 1600, which was a mistake and turned the footage a little grainy. So then I shot it at ISO 800 and turned out fine. Again, for recording, I have tried the voice recorder of the iPhone before and I knew it gives the quality audio that is required. I also use an HP laptop for editing. Adobe Premiere Pro was a new tool that was introduced to us, and it obviously took some time to get used to it. For me, inserting the right video transition was the trickiest because that is what connects every clip and ensures that the video seems to run smoothly. Besides that, I also experimented with color grading, and even if initially it is hard to get the balance right, it is extremely fun and greatly impacts the final product. Talking about music, I have chosen two tracks, both of them instrumental, because I only wanted subtle music so that it doesn't empower the audience and does not distract them from focusing on the story but still manages to keep the audience engaged and evoke emotions. All the technologies come together in post production.